Hello students, this is the second part of our lecture for week 2. In this lecture we will be talking about the view group, layout and the linear layout mainly. So we have seen that different widgets, UI components, we talk about the widget box, we talk about the padding, we talk about the margins, we also talk about the width and height property, and two specific values that we can assign to it is the uh, wrap contents and the match parent. So now the point is we have a lot of different GUI components and the widgets, how we can organize them inside the screen. So that is the point. So a widget are all widgets are views that need to be combined. So draw something, widget is a draw widget, or the view that is something draw on the screen with which the user can interact. So view group, again, views, all the widgets are the subclass of the views, all the layouts are the subclass of the view groups. Eventually view group is also a subclass of the view itself, so because it is something which is visible to the user and the user can interact with it. So, and a visible container, that has defines layout structure for the contained views, that is a view group, and that will define its layout. So we can see that we have a view group. Inside we have two different views, and we also have another view group which contains further three different views. So let me give you the example. We have a layout, that's actually a view group, like we seen in the practical example, the linear layout. Okay, and inside that layout we have a button, we have a text view, and then we also have another layout, and in the other layout we also have a button switch or the button text view, and again another layout, and that layout contains three checkboxes. So you can grow that particular specific tree as complex as you want, but remember, right on the top we will have only one particular view group or the layout. So we have quite a different type of layout. Here I am just mentioning a few of them. We have a linear layout, which is can be horizontal or the vertical. We also have a table layout, which is more like a table with the rows and columns inside it. We also have a constraint layout, which has some positioning constraints where we want to put some specific item inside the screen with respect to the parent or with respect to the other elements in the screen. We also have a card view, we also have a recycler view. The first one is the linear layout. So linear layout, first of all, view group is an invisible container. View group is an invisible container which is containing all different type of the widgets and the views which are present inside the layout. For the linear layout, we have two different type of the orientations. By default, it is the horizontal layout. What does that mean? It means that whenever you are putting different widgets inside that particular layout, the next widget, for example, we put a text view, it shows a text view. Okay, fine. And then when you put another button, that will automatically assign or align itself or position itself to the right of the previously added view. And the next, it is an image view which will also go to the right of the, so it will put all the widgets which you want to put in that particular linear layout automatically on the horizontal line. They will try to go like that. And if you change that particular specific layout from horizontal to vertical, then they will, every text view, every widget that you want to add in that linear layout, it will go below the previous one. Okay, so first is text view, second one is the button, next one is the image view, then we have a checkbox. So they will all go into a vertical line as compared to the horizontal line. So if you want to then if you want to make the linear layout a vertical one, then you have to specify that yes, the orientation property for the linear layout is vertical. And if you don't say Anything, if you don't set that property, orientation property, it will by default will be horizontal one. Okay, so these are the two different type of orientation we have in the linear layout, whether it is horizontal or it is a vertical one. So now if we the XML file, the layout file that I show you in the practical example, so I just change it, so there is nothing inside. That is, this dotted line is invisible line, it is not there, but just to highlight that what that particular specific linear layout which is containing all different elements inside it, it is like that. Here we are saying that the uh, width property is match parent, height property is also the match parent. It means that particular linear layout will cover the complete width of the screen and the complete height of the screen. So it will cover all of that particular specific screen which is present on your mobile. So we have an opening tag, we also have a closing tag, and every other widget that you want to put inside this particular specific linear layout, it should be between these two elements. Okay, so I'm at the top, we have a linear layout, that is a top container, and everything will come inside that particular specific container or the linear layout between this opening tag and the closing tag. So I'm putting some a text view. Here I'm saying that the width is wrap context. So according to the text size, it has the width. According to the text height, it has the height. And then what will be the text that I want to show in that particular specific text view? What will be the background? We can change that particular specific background of that one. And then we also have a text color. So what will be the text color? Of course, it is white one right now. Second element, I want to add a button. So if we look at that, our layout, we have a top layout which contains a text view, and inside the top layout we also have another button. So we have a text view here. Now we also added a button. Again, I gave the width property and height property, which are the compulsory one, and then I put the button itself. What is the size of that particular specific button, or what we want to show on the button. And remember that by default there is some space between padding. By default there's some padding. Of course, if we add more padding, that will be added in the already existing padding, which is the part of the button class itself, or part of the button widget itself. Then I added a image view, and look, because if we look at the linear layout, we have not defined any property inside the linear layout which is uh, the orientation property. So because we have not defined, by default it is a linear layout. Every next widget that we are adding, first we added the text view, then we added the button automatically position itself to the right of the text view. Then we added the image view, that is again automatically a position itself to the right of the text view, right of the button. And so again we have a height property. So we have three different possible values for the height or width, whether it is a match parent or wrap content, or we can specify the how many pixels width or how many pixels height it should have. Here we are saying that it should have the height of the 100 pixels and the height of 100 pixel and the width of 100 pixel. DP mean it's a density independent pixels. What does that mean? um, we will be talking about a little later about that. But to understand that, if so, we have different screen resolutions. We have the screen resolutions which have more pixels in square centimeter. We have the older screens which has less number of pixels in the 1 square centimeter. So that number of pixels is changing based on the density, based on the high definition or the normal uh, screen of the mobiles. So we are say that density independent pixels, we are not, if we have more pixels in 1 square centimeter, and if we say that only 100 pixels, then definitely those 100 pixels will be small size on the high density pixel values, or they will be bigger size on the low density pixels. So we say that no, try to keep that particular 100 pixels as a density independent one, and try to keep that particular specific size of the widget um, more or less or almost same on different screen resolution sizes. So that is the purpose of the density independent pixels. I will talk more about that later, but just to understand, to give you the idea what does it mean. So we can specify the number of pixels height, number of pixel in the height and width as well, or we can say match parent or the wrap parent, wrap content. So these are the three different possible values that we can give to the width and the height. Again, we are telling that which specific image we want to show in that particular image view. In addition to that, I also add another checkbox, and when we adding, every next element is going to the right, to right, to right. And of course, you know that we have a limited width, we don't have an unlimited width of the screen, so we have a limited screen. So when we have a limited width of screen, it is possible that this particular next widget, this is a checkbox, it go out of the screen. When it go out of the screen, it is will not be visible to us. The reason is that it is going out of the screen. And if you remember in our practical example, when I start adding the things in the linear layout, eventually that particular specific text box goes out, or button I think, that goes out of the screen. It is there inside the layout, but we can't see it. The reason it is out of the screen. So we need to handle, if you want to put the things like that, you need to handle in one way or the other. I mean, you need to implement the scrolling property so that we can scroll to access the elements which are out of the screen, and if you want to interact with them, otherwise you cannot access them or you cannot interact with them. So these are the four elements. So now what I did, I have four elements: text view, button, image, and the checkbox. And now inside this linear layout tag, the opening tag, I am adding one particular specific property, that is the orientation property. And I say that orientation is vertical. When I say orientation vertical, look what happened. Text view right on top, button below that text view, image view below that button, checkbox below that image. So first one, second one, third one, fourth one, they always go below to the previous atom. So when we just change that particular property, and now the orientation has been changed, and now they have a different way to arrange the elements inside the layout. So this is the difference between the linear layout in the horizontal orientation and the vertical orientation. We also have the gravity property, we have the earth gravity. Whenever we jump up, earth gravity is pulling us towards the center of the earth. So here we are saying that we are defining the property, gravity property, for our linear layout, this red dotted rectangle. And we are saying that uh, the gravity, that particular layout will pull everything towards the horizontal center, so that become the horizontal center. We can also say that we want to it a vertical center. By default it is left and top lined. Okay, so it is a left side. So when you say horizontal center, it means all the elements will try to align themselves or position themselves as a horizontal center. If you want that it's a vertical center, it means that vertically they will align them in the middle of the screen. We also say that only center mean horizontal as well as the vertical, so it will align right in the middle of the screen, horizontal as well as the vertical way. We can also say that left, so every element will pull towards the left. We can also say towards the right, so every element is pulled towards the right. We can also say bottom. So we have different type of gravities we can have here. We can also have, these are the gravities. Yep, we can also apply two different gravities. We are saying that it should be bottom, but it also center. So definitely, because we are saying pull towards the bottom, so it cannot be a vertical center, but it can be a horizontal center. So we can apply. So now we have learned one more thing here. If we have, if it is possible, not for all the properties it is possible to that you can assign two values, but if it is possible that for a specific property you can assign two values, then you give the first value, then we have a pipe sign, that is what you can say that, and or I mean for the second separation between two different values, it is a separator. So first value bottom, pipe sign, separator between the values, and the second value. So that is possible only for those properties where you can provide two different values, then you can separate the values with the pipe sign. The other thing that is important for the linear layout is the weight. The weight property, for example, here we have four different widgets here, and then we assign the weight property one to each of them. So what they will try to do, they will try to have the same height in the vertical form, because it is an orientation is vertical, so they will try to have the same height. Try, again I'm saying try. It is very much clear here that this particular text or image view is larger than the button and the text view is more or less same. Maybe the checkbox is also same, but the image view is a little bit larger as compared to the rest of them. So I'm saying that they will try to have because they have this equal weight, so they will try to have the same height in the vertical orientation. On the other hand, if we have the uh, on the other hand, if we change that particular orientation to horizontal, then we try to have the same width in. Again, if the orientation of the linear layout is vertical and the widget have the same weight property or the equal weight property, then they will try to have the similar or the same height. And if the orientation is horizontal and the widgets have the equal weights, then they will try to have the same width. In the case of horizontal, same width when they have the same weight, and in case of the vertical orientation, they will try to have the same height when they have the equal weights. So this need to be understand here. The other thing is, I mean, we also have, if we can also say that instead of telling having the gravity property for the linear layout, we can also have the layout gravity properties for each and every individual widget, and we can align them. For example, we are saying that the text view should be aligned itself to the text center. Normally we are what we just said, we say that when we are saying center, it should be vertical and horizontal center, but right now it's only a horizontal center, not a vertical center. I will explain a little later. So again, we have one for the button, we say that should go to the bottom, but it's not going to the bottom itself. It's remain at the same position on the left side, the default one. And then we also have we say that right toward the image, yeah, it is go to the right. And then we also have the layout property for the checkbox, go to the top. No, it is not going to the top. So what does it mean? Every widget is actually representing a horizontal box. Okay, so because the orientation is vertical, so every widget has its own horizontal box, and it is aligned according within that particular specific box when we are defining the layout gravity. So when we say that layout gravity for the text view center, in this particular specific box, it is center aligned. vertically as well as the horizontally, because that particular box is small. So that's why we don't see the screen vertical, but actually in that box it is center aligned. Okay. And similarly for the button, we are saying that the layout gravity is the bottom, so that gravity is actually within that green dotted line box, and it is aligned to the bottom as well. Yes. Okay. So similarly we talk about the image box or image view, and we are saying that gravity right, so it is within that orange box, it is right aligned. Similarly we have checkbox, which we say top, within that green box it is top. It is what you can say that it is aligned to the top of that particular box. So when you say layout gravity at each widget level, so within its box it is going to align itself, or the gravity is applied, not to the whole screen. So that is a difference between the gravity at the layout level and the gravity layout gravity at the widget level. Okay. Similarly if we talk about that this orientation is uh, we can change its bottom and right, so it is in the bottom of this box and right of that particular specific box. And when we change the orientation from vertical to horizontal, then these boxes are covering the whole height of the screen, so they become the vertical boxes. And now these we can move with we can move these widgets within those boxes. It means we can move them to the top or to the bottom, but we cannot move to the right or the left of that one. Okay. So accordingly we can set some property and we can see the things here. The other thing, remember that I say that on the top level we can have only one container or the one layout or the one view group. Now if I say that, for example, we have a linear layout, inside that linear layout we have some elements, and then we also have the linear layout. So if we look at that, we have a top level linear layout, again we have a top level linear layout which contains some sub elements inside it. That is not acceptable inside the Android system. It's a multi-root tag error. It will, if you try to compile it, it will give you that particular specific error. So at the top level, we cannot have more than one app elements. We can only have a linear element, starting tag and ending tag, and everything will come inside those tags. We cannot have another linear layout at the same level. No, it is not possible. Okay, so only one top level container. That is quite acceptable, that we have seen earlier. Yes, that is also possible. Remember that we are saying that this particular checkbox is going out of the screen, that how we can handle it. So we are saying that you apply the horizontal scroll view, and inside that particular specific scroll view you put scroll view is also a view group which can contain one extra element on which it can apply the scrolling. Okay. So we have one element, that is the linear layout, which is the child of the or this contained inside the scroll view. And now we can scroll and access the part which are out of the screen. We can scroll it left or right. So in this way we can apply the scrolling to access the elements when we are designing our layout, and we know that the elements are going out of the screen, then we can apply the scrolling to access them. If you want to scroll vertically, instead of having the horizontal scroll view, we have a scroll view which will apply to vertical scroll to its child. So these are the two different ways uh, to apply the scrolling and accessing those elements that we have designed, and they go out of the screen. Okay, so in this way we can apply. So what is the next? In the next week, we will talk about the table layout and the grid layout. What are those? We will discuss in more detail, and here are some references for today's lecture. Hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned. I will get back to you with some practical demonstration on the linear layout. Thank you. Bye.